Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Better Vision, the channel that shares insights for holistic self-development through inspiring books. This week, I want to share a topic with you called Detecting and Overcoming Covert Manipulation That Dominates You, inspired by the groundbreaking book, The Gaslight Effect, by renowned psychotherapist Dr. Robin Stern. Are you constantly striving to be a better friend, a good employee, or a dutiful child, yet no matter how hard you try, you never receive recognition? Do you face criticism from your partner but always believe they are right? Do you always find yourself apologizing to your parents, your loved one, or your boss? Do your thoughts about yourself often get swayed by the opinions of those around you? If your answer is yes, then be careful. It's very possible you are experiencing toxic manipulation. In everyday life, a subtle form of mental control exists. Under the manipulation of a controller, we gradually lose our sense of self, doubt everything we believe in, and ultimately become willing to follow others' commands. Dr. Robin Stern calls this type of mental control the gaslight effect. With over 30 years of experience in counseling, Dr. Robin Stern, through this book, will show you how to identify those who exploit human weaknesses to gradually push others into a deep state of control. Simultaneously, she will show you how to break free from manipulation in relationships, reclaiming your self-confidence and freedom. Reading this book will equip you with psychological insights, helping you understand that you are not flawed, you are being mentally manipulated, and you always deserve a better life for yourself. Mental manipulation only requires 3 steps. With such unreasonable and outrageous demands, of course, I would refuse. This is the initial reaction of most of us when discussing being manipulated by someone, because everyone believes they are not easily manipulated. But the problem is, outrageous demands are only the final asterisk step in the manipulation process. Before that, the manipulator will employ subtle, incremental steps that are hard to recognize. In a movie called Gaslight, there's a story about a girl named Paula who inherits a large fortune from her aunt. A young man, Anton, wants to seize this fortune. He uses sweet words to approach and marry Paula, then begins daily mental manipulation. He deliberately hides some items, and when Paula can't find them, he tells her memory is failing. In particular, he secretly dims and brightens the gaslights. When Paula asks about it, he insists there's nothing wrong with the gaslights, just to make her feel unsure, half believing, half doubting. This series of small incidents gradually makes Paula believe she is inept, has a terrible memory, can't do anything well, and is even going crazy. Because this scene in the movie was so impactful, the author named the book The Gaslight Effect. The author states that mental control and manipulation exist widely in many relationships, in marriage, at work, and within families. It's especially important to note that it's a type of relationship created by 2 people. In a gaslight effect relationship, one person is the gaslighter, the manipulator. They always play the role of being right about everything and constantly question the other person to make them lose confidence and ultimately comply. The other person is the gaslightee, the one being manipulated. This person always lets the other define the world for them. In the eyes of the gaslightee, the manipulator is always idealized. They desperately seek recognition, and if they don't get it, they feel useless. According to the author's analysis, the gaslight effect is divided into 3 stages. Stage 1, doubt, is that really true? At this stage, the manipulator will say absurd things that upset your thoughts. Initially, you find these things ridiculous. However, after they are repeated many times, you start to doubt them. Could it be true? For example, in Paula's case, when her husband learned she was not a virgin, he said something like this: "I think for a girl, all subsequent times will mean nothing. Why is my fate so terrible? I can't even have a woman who is whole. You don't cherish your body, you don't protect and value it." At this point, Paula found these thoughts bizarre. She argued back, emphasizing, "My best quality is my future." You'll see that at this moment, Paula was still very confident in her views. She was also defending herself from being controlled. But her doubt was a seed planted in her mind, and if this seed begins to grow, it moves to the 2nd stage. Stage 2, justification. I'm not that kind of person. In the face of doubt, the first reaction of most people is to justify themselves, to prove that the manipulator is wrong. Handling it this way seems normal and logical. But there's a saying, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. If the other person's words didn't affect you, you could completely ignore them and do things your own way. But when you start trying to persuade the other person, it proves that their words have impacted you. You can't accept that they don't acknowledge or reject you. At this point, you have fallen into the trap of manipulation. Just like Paula, after failing to persuade her husband, she began to believe that not being a virgin was a trivial matter. Stage 3, suppression, whatever they say is right. After the first 2 stages, the gaslightee realizes there's no way to get the other person to recognize them. They then begin to give up resisting and choose to comply with the other person, even if they feel that all of it is wrong and abnormal. It is in this stage that they lose the power to self-perceive and speak out. You might not believe it, but you have voluntarily allowed the other person to control you. Similar mental control exists not only in romantic relationships, but also at work and in families. You might hear bosses say things like, "Given your current abilities, no one would hire you if you left this company," or "Young people need to strive and endure hardship," or "Salary isn't important. What matters is the growth environment. I'm criticizing you for your own improvement." In families, parents might tell their children, "You eat my food, wear my clothes, and I can't even say a word to you." Or, "There's no parent in this world who doesn't love their child." Or, "Everything your parents do is for your own good." Or, a situation mentioned early in this book, a father rushing, followed by his 4-year-old daughter stumbling and falling. The father glares and shouts, "Why are you so stupid? I can't believe it. How many times have I told you?" Even a tiny situation like this can be the toxic gas from the gaslight. At this point, you might say that manipulators are terrible. A manipulator is unilaterally harming others to find joy, victory, and satisfaction in control. It's an act of intentionally harming the victim. But the author has a different perspective. She believes the gaslight effect is a tango of 2. This means it's not just a victim theory for the gaslightee. Without your cooperation, moving backward and forward together, the manipulator cannot perform the show alone. You also have a responsibility to be aware and break free from the situation. But the question here is, why do people willingly cooperate with the controller, even knowing it's bad? We need to look at 2 aspects here. First, it stems from the *** fear of relationship apocalypse ***. Many people genuinely fear that disharmony and conflict with others will lead to ending a relationship, breaking a contract, losing a job, or not receiving attention, and so on. Therefore, when others deny their feelings, they will concede, even when they know the other person's words are wrong. To avoid conflict, they will abandon their own views. Second, it's the ** psychology of longing for recognition ***. Why are people attracted to the phrase, unconditional love, whether it's what others do for us or what we do for others? Looking deeper, if parents could give their children unconditional love from the beginning, those children would not seek it externally as they grow up. There's a famous saying, "The lucky ones use their childhood to heal their lives. The unfortunate ones use their whole lives to heal their childhood." Personality flaws, emotional trauma, and feelings of inadequacy in people mostly stem from childhood. Returning to those who are easily manipulated, they carry these traumas with them over time. They tend to idealize the controller, desperately longing for recognition from others. Without the other person's acknowledgement, they feel they are not good enough, not competent enough, and not loved enough. For example, Paula had no parents, and after her aunt passed away, she deeply desired care from others. The appearance of her husband met this psychological need. Even when she realized her husband's behavior towards her was wrong, she still didn't want to condemn him, instead trying to maintain the image of a perfect husband in her mind. According to the author, if you even have a slight thought that, "If I rely only on myself, things surely won't go well," or "I need others' recognition or acceptance to complete myself," then you will easily fall into mental manipulation and control. There are 3 types of manipulators. Many people think that a relationship poisoned by the gaslight effect only appears in abusive relationships or with psychopaths like Paula's husband. But in reality, there are people who seem very gentle, kind, romantic, caring, or very agreeable, who are precisely the ones manipulating you. Their romance and compliance are tools they use to control others. So, if you feel exhausted in a relationship, you need to stop and learn to distinguish whether you are being manipulated. The author identifies 3 types of gaslighters who manipulate in different ways: the charming type, the good guy type, and the intimidating type. Let's explore the first type. Asterisk 1. The charming gaslighter asterisk. This type usually appears in intimate relationships. In essence, you could call them master actors because they are excellent at drama. They make you feel like your relationship is incredibly romantic and emotional, capable of making life better. Thus, you easily fall into their passionate trap. In the eyes of someone in love, their partner is idealized. Initially, everything will always be perfect until, at some point, the other person might accuse you of doing something wrong, even when you are right. Of course, there will be arguments between you, but the impact of these conflicts quickly fades because charming gaslighters are very skilled at using intimacy and a bit of romance to overshadow any existing problems. For example, there's always a small bouquet of flowers, a gift, or something that makes you happy after an argument, or they might put you down and humiliate you, but then praise you to the skies in front of others. If gifts don't work, they start to play the victim, expressing how much they've given up for you, how much they love you, and so on to make you feel guilty. In the course of the relationship, when you constantly feel like you're the one in the wrong, you'll feel uncomfortable. Sometimes you want to end it, but because you've invested so much emotion, time, and other things into this relationship, letting go is never easy. Then, when a little charm from sweet romance returns, even if it's fleeting, you're still willing to believe that they love you. This act is essentially self-anesthesia, and you think that the current conflicts between you are minor issues that can be gradually resolved. However, over time, without you even realizing it, your self-awareness is slowly destroyed. Asterisk 2. The good guy gaslighter asterisk. This is also the hardest type to detect. As its name suggests, this person outwardly appears kind, caring, understanding, and often lets you win in every aspect. However, when you win, they start to become negative. So it's clear the other person is going along with you, yet you always find yourself feeling tired and sad. It's clear they are doing what you asked, but you feel like you're not getting what you truly want. It's clear you have a good relationship, but you gradually lose interest in life and feel depressed. The good guy gaslighter manipulates you under the guise of "you're always right," but subtly conveys that you are, in fact, wrong. These are some signs to recognize if you are in a relationship with such a person, and to let you know that this type of person does not truly respect your feelings. Asterisk 3. The intimidating gaslighter asterisk. This is the most common type of control. The typical behavior of this type of manipulator is rude, short-tempered, and loud, constantly looking down on you. If they are unhappy, they will impose various physical punishments or verbal threats. We can see this as an act of abuse in a relationship. In an intimidating relationship, the gaslightee will find many reasons to endure it themselves, even finding excuses to defend the manipulator. For example, he's a good father anyway, he treats the children very well, and so on. Because you are afraid of the other person's threats, each instance causes you mental and physical stress. Therefore, you abandon your intention to protect yourself, and ultimately, you adopt the other person's distorted perceptions as your own. So, how do we escape manipulation? This isn't as difficult as you might think. The author says the way to escape control is very simple. You just need to accept one thing, that you are already an excellent, capable, and loved person without needing recognition from the other person. Of course, saying it is always easier than doing it. Therefore, the author offers us some suggestions. Asterisk 1. Don't ask who's right or wrong, ask yourself, do I like being treated this way? Right and wrong are often defined by the controller, so arguing about who's right or wrong is meaningless. What we need to do is focus on our own feelings. For example, if the other person criticizes and belittles you about your virginity, your dress sense, or some habit, you shouldn't ask yourself if what they're saying is true. Instead, reflect, do I want to continue a relationship with someone who has a worldview different from mine? By focusing on your feelings, you won't be easily controlled. Asterisk 2. Let go of the obsession to be a good person, just try your best. Most people have an obsession. I need to be a good person in the eyes of others. If someone says your behavior is wrong, you worry a lot and cannot accept it. The author reminds everyone that if the other person truly wants to manipulate you, meaning they are selfish and only love themselves, then whether you are good or not doesn't matter to them. because no matter how good you are, the other person will find a reason or something to suppress your spirit and diminish your self-confidence. What you need to do is try your best. That's enough. If there's no way to be a good person in the eyes of others, then so what? That's their boundary. Your job is not to do anything you would regret. That's enough. Just like in the book, The Courage to be Disliked, it advises you not to care about others' evaluations, not to fear being disliked by others, and not to pursue others' recognition. If you don't dare to do these things, you won't be able to live your own way, meaning you won't be able to achieve freedom. Asterisk 3. Don't argue, don't debate. The author suggests that if you are accused by others for ridiculous reasons, the best reaction is silence. She emphasizes that whenever you try to prove you are right, you will almost certainly begin a toxic gaslight tango. If you want to prove you're right, you are actually trying to gain others' approval. This will only make you more susceptible to manipulation. The best thing to do is to say, "I don't want to argue with you about this." Then continue doing your own thing. Asterisk 4. Seek external support, especially professional help. Someone might ask, if I genuinely made a mistake and the other person pointed out my fault, why should I blame them? First, you might indeed have made a mistake or not done well enough. But there's a very correct way to behave in relationships. Target the issue, not the person. That is, if the person wants to give feedback on your behavior, there's nothing wrong with that. But if the other person claims you are a terrible person after some behavior, then you must be cautious. The common refrain of manipulators is, "You're wrong and I'm right." Of course, you might be wrong, but that doesn't mean the other person is right. Even if you lack self-confidence, you shouldn't entirely trust others' judgments. Instead, seek help from friends, family, people you trust, and professional psychological counselors so they can help you assess the situation. Being open to multiple sources of information can help you avoid falling into the gaslight effect. Who do you allow into your world? In the movie Alice in Wonderland, when Alice came to a crossroads, not knowing which way to go, she asked the smiling Cheshire cat nearby. The cat mysteriously smiled and said, "If you don't know where you're going, then it doesn't matter which way you take." I always feel that this is truly a metaphor for life. If you cannot be firm in your direction, you will fall into confusion, and then you can only be led by others. Letting others define your emotions is always the most unreliable thing. To escape gaslighting, ultimately, you must trust and rely on yourself. Trust unequivocally that only you can define yourself, and your feelings must be respected by others. Please ask yourself, why must you be angry at others' objections? That's their opinion, you don't need to explain. People will always try to prove that I am right and others are wrong. This is a psychological flaw in most of us. If you don't have this preconceived notion, you will never see the gaslight flickering. So, who will you allow into your world? If you're too confused in your relationship, please close your eyes, find a quiet place, and take a few minutes for yourself. Imagine you are living in a house with a high, sturdy fence. This is your place, and only you decide who comes and goes. Feel this power within you. You have full control over who enters and who leaves. If someone comes with kindness and respect for your feelings, they are allowed in. But if they challenge your perception of reality, they must leave. Afterward, if you wish, take a few minutes to write down what you learned from the experience. Remember that you can use this house with a fence as a sanctuary, and it will be there to help you whenever you need it. Do this exercise regularly to connect with your true heart. Today's book summary video ends here. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Don't forget to give me a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to catch my latest weekly videos. Once again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.